Like everything else, people have their own concepts and ideas, and they try to communicate those the best way they can. You know, just like everyone. And with these recordings, that's what I'm trying to do too. But we also need to we also need to know that everyone's experience is unique to their own, but the whole human experience is similar. And talking with like a universal language of some sort helps. But until that universal language is resolved and humans can communicate spiritually on those levels, then we kind of have to go and like formulate these concepts and ideas so as we talk about them, we can understand what the other person is saying. So I was saying that to get into light worker and dark worker, which I really want to talk about darkness, but I want to kind of go into light worker and dark worker. So I don't really have a good understanding of what these things are because from the social conscience I hear it from, to me personally, I it doesn't align. It doesn't resonate with me. So from maybe I'm wrong, but from my understanding of a social consciousness, that light workers are like, how do you say, people that work in the light, right? Or people that use the light or work in the light. I'm not really sure. Like, it's not really specified. And then dark workers are people that work in the dark. So maybe they're talking about like light workers use principles of light, I guess, to do work in the light, and then dark workers use the opposite energy, the negative energy. And from what I'm understanding, they're saying is that dark workers work with like black magic and like light workers work with like white magic. Like that's the kind of like concept and ideas that seems like they're talking about. And maybe I'm completely wrong with that, but it sounds very strange. And not strange in the sense that like it's wrong. It just sounds like doesn't really sound like really thought out, fleshed out. And don't get me wrong, I'm not super thought that knows everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm not all mind. But from my experiences, I can kind of deduce a few things. So, in my understanding of what they're actually saying from my experience, a light worker is someone that is in the dark using light to work, right? And then a dark worker is someone that's in the light using darkness to work. Or they could be saying, because I got two thought patterns on this, that a light worker is using light principles in the darkness. And the dark worker is using dark principles in the light. Now, it sounds like the same thing, but there's a difference because in one of my definitions of a light worker, the light worker that is in the darkness using light principles. So they're in the opposite energetic pattern, then they're using the energies of the opposition in enforce on the principles of what it is. So a light worker goes into the darkness, which is dark principles, and use light principles against it, right? So something like a really quick example would be someone that comes from, let's say, a rich family, right? And then they go and do community work in the hood or in the slums, right? They're using their resources and their quote unquote light, and they're going into the darkness, people that don't have the resources, and helping their lives, right? That's like that's like a crude example of it. Another example could be someone that's a light worker, they have they have a certain type of spiritual knowledge, and they go into people that don't have that spiritual knowledge and they're spiritually dead, and they use the spiritual principles against those people to make them do something or shed light upon their situation or shed light into their mind. It could be manipulative, it could be pure hearted. Like it could go either way. The specification I'm trying to make though is a light worker going into the darkness and using the light principles is the same thing as a dark worker going into the light using dark principles, because you're using opposite forces upon something. Now, I'm saying that to specify darkness because I think a lot of people have the conception that darkness is evil and darkness is bad. And yes, that is a human concept that we've created because of nature and how we see things and how we mentally evolve through our physical timeline. So of course it makes sense that at night 3,000 years ago it was dangerous because you didn't know you couldn't see anything. There was no electricity, there's no light pollution to where animals would run or not be around light pollution. Animals and beasts and everything was just everywhere. It was just more wild. And not saying that they didn't have big cities. I'm just saying like in general 3,000 years ago, you know what I'm saying, big cities weren't a thing. Like it wasn't as common as it is now. So the concept of darkness being evil makes sense in our carnal minds because we've been conditioned over long periods of time that darkness is bad. Only until recently, maybe 1,000 years ago, maybe not even that, that darkness became the physical darkness that we experience on Earth became less. And at that point, we started to evolve a little bit more and be able to work through the day and through the night. We started to be able to do both. And then in the industrial age, we really crept into the night and we're like, okay, we've mastered the night. We can treat the night like the day and we could have our production and lives keep going. Now, in our carnal minds, we still have that process in our minds that darkness is bad. That's why when we have dreams and we have nightmares, it's always a dark scene. Now, there are some times where you could have like it's not like a typical nightmare, and you just have like a really messed up situation happening. But for most times, nightmares or night terrors come in the form of like darkness, like it's a dark night or it's a dark house or it's a not well lit. It's grim, like the feeling and the the colors, like everything that's happening is very grim and dark, which is an accurate portrayal of our subconscious. Like it's communicating with us. But I've also experienced a darkness that isn't evil at all or doesn't feel negative in the sense that we should be scared of it. There's another darkness that's peaceful and beautiful and calming. So when I experienced that in meditations and just experiences, then I kind of realized like there's two types of darkness. There's like a darkness where it's scary and a darkness where it's like beautiful, it's calming. So then throughout the years, I tried to like understand it more and I tried to get more into it. And then I started making comparisons with nature and to darkness and like how darkness is used from like a nature standpoint. And I grew seeds for a little bit, and in order to germinate a seed, you have to put it in darkness. You have to put it in a moist, a moist area, and in darkness for it to sprout. So when you put the seed underground and you cover it with dirt, it's in a dark, moist environment, and it grows. And it doesn't really grow as strong, like it doesn't sprout as strong if it's always in the light, because I think the light some type of way damages it. It doesn't get its full sprout. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So then you go to like the human body. Where's darkness in the human body? And it took a little minute, but I figured, well, when you're in your mother's womb, you're technically being covered. So the womb could be equal to darkness, but the darkness in the womb isn't a evil, terrible thing. You know what I'm saying? Now it could have complications and stuff, yes, of course, but for the most part, especially in the modern age, being your mother's womb is supposed to be a safe place. It's supposed to be a comforting place. It's supposed to be a peaceful place. So in my meditation, when I awoke in the darkness, and I was able to see like this holographic, almost vibrant darkness, and it was completely calming and infinite and eternal, I realized that this darkness is a start of something. It's like a seed germinating. It's like being in the womb. But I've also experienced in dreams or in failed astral projections or visions. Depends on how you want to see the experience. I've seen like the triple binding darkness, where it's pitch black and it's infinite, and it doesn't feel eternal, because eternal isn't like a vision, it's a feel. It didn't feel eternal. It felt infinite. It felt like a infinite time loop of fear, of um, this high, sharp sense of pressure. But the sense of pressure was just, I don't know how to explain it. It was just like terrifying, like terrifying, like you're froze, like you can't move, like you're so afraid that you can't move, you can't speak, you lose you lose functionality of your mental faculties. Like you just can't, like it's too much. It's almost like it's too much fear. It's so much fear that you can't do anything. Kind of like a deer in the headlights. When they see those lights, for some reason they get stuck right there. And maybe it's a response to not understanding what they're seeing, or maybe the headlights, it puts them in a trance. I really don't know, but whatever it is, they get stuck there, and if they don't snap out of it, a lot of times they can get hit. So with one darkness being beautiful and eternal and calming and peaceful, and the other darkness being terrifying, terrifying, I kind of realized, well, they're both darkness. They're both dark, but one feels this way and the other feels this way. What's the true darkness? So then I had to kind of think about it, and actually right now it just kind of came to me in a clear version that one darkness is used to grow a certain type of personality. The other type of darkness is used to grow another type of personality. So if you need to overcome something, one of those darkness is going to be more beneficial based on your personality, based on your experiences, based on your understanding. So for me, I'm very hard headed. So I need a lot of pressure in order to change direction or change course within my life, which God gives me. Like when I need it, the eternal gives me the pressure that I need to be like, we're not doing this, we're going over here. Like I could be doing something and everything could be lined up for me to do it, and then everything falls apart like out of nowhere. And I used to think like, damn, what am I doing wrong? But at the same time, every time those things happen, it turns back around that I find myself in a better place. And I would not have been in that better place if I didn't leave that other place. But in the position that I was in, I wasn't going to leave that place because I was comforted in that position. I was comforted in that situation. But I had to be discomforted so much to leave that situation to go to another situation. And those kept happening over and over and over and over again until they led me to where I am now, which is still not like the place where I see myself, but it's a place where I see myself going. So I kind of named the darkness of terror. I named it the triple binding darkness, and the reason why I named it that. Okay, cool. It's only 16 minutes. The reason why I named it that, I guess I'll go into it in the next one.